Hey everyone, I'm Sparky. I'm very glad to be here with you today. As you can guess, since I'm doing new important, I'm here to fulfill the most important function of the whole day. Who here remembers that I was at the top of the escalator directing you upstairs to registration? Was that useful? Okay. All right, so I am in the, yes, so it is my privilege to present to you the latest breaking news that I'm allowed to say about Android. If any of you are expecting big announcements, maybe we won't have big announcements, but maybe we can say something. So first of all, since this is new and important, who here considers yourselves up to date on Android? For instance, who has a Honeycomb tablet already? Not too bad, maybe a quarter of you. Who went to GDD last year? Most of you, good. Have you gone to any other Google developer events this year? Maybe Google I/O or something else, okay. Have you seen the Google I/O Android videos? These are very important because these have our best advice for the best practices in Android development. Who reads the blog? You might want to keep reading that blog. Who here has checked for updates in the last hour? Or who's checking for updates right now? Okay. Who rewrote your app during Nick's talk in the last 15-20 minutes to take advantage of Honeycomb APIs? What? Nobody? Oh, all right. So, and my bonus question is, who owns anything else besides a tablet running Honeycomb? Yeah, good, you shouldn't. Honeycomb is a tablet-only release. So, one of the things that's new in Android is we have an EMEA developer relations team. So a year ago, we only had one full-time employee dedicated to Android developer relations in Europe, and now we have 4. So I'm Sparky, I'm in Munich, Germany. Nick and Richard are in London, and Peter Grayling is also in London. We just hired him. He's sort of an honorary EMEA member because he's actually supporting developers in Africa. So anyways, so our commitment to the European continent is growing. We're what, up 300% over this time last year. This talk is going to, in no particular order, skim over product releases, announcements, various words of wisdom, and a couple of demos from some of your local Czech developers. So, speaking of words of wisdom, the first place you should always look is developer.android.com, Stack Overflow for your code-level development questions. And also, as I said, go back to those Google I/O sessions because we have lots of great information in there. You saw it in the keynote, so I won't go over it at great length, but the latest in the Android market, we're now over 500 devices launched. We're up to nearly 50 different OEMs, over 200, close to 300 carriers are deploying Android devices. Daily activations about 500,000, over 300,000 market apps now, and 8 billion downloads. Wow. So the Android team has been busy in Mountain View. They had a release once upon a time, quickly followed by a few more. And then along came 2010, and with the very big 2.0 release, 2011, Froyo, very big release. Something like half of the Android devices today are still running Froyo, I think. So Froyo, Gingerbread, and then we got into the new stuff, the great new sweeping API changes. We started off with 3.0 back in February, a couple of follow-on releases, and then what comes next? Ooh, one of these days, one of these days. So as you know, we have a sculpture garden in Mountain View, which shows all the different Android releases with their iconic sculpture. And who knew that you could get them all in the frame at the same time? But anyways, where I wanted to go to from here is, should we see if we can actually watch the unboxing of ice cream sandwich? Let's see if we can do this. Has anybody seen this video before? Oh, have you all seen this video before? Should I just stop? All right, who wants me to not show the unboxing of ice cream sandwich and just go on with the slides? Actually, not a majority of you. But we might be having some network challenges here, so I don't know if I can actually show this video. Oh, there we go. So, wait a minute. You can't even see this, can you? All right. Here I am, taunting you with a video that you can't even see. Boy, am I just a lousy presenter or what? Who knew that you would get to see the unboxing of ice cream sandwich right here in Prague? Oh, gosh, what does that say? Google and Samsung are doing something. Wow, when is that? Let's see. 10 a.m. Hong Kong time. When is that? Oh. Who's planning to stay up late tonight? Incidentally, how many of you know this time zone converter application? So this was written by our Googler on the ground right here in Prague, Filip Racek. So, and I believe there's also a parody of it. Who wrote the parody? Do you know? I don't. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, let's close that. I'm not going to say anything more about that. All right, back to the talk. Okay, so since this was new and important, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, what is not new, but still important, because we came here last year and we talked about all these things, which are actually still important. So pretty much everything you learned a year ago is still relevant today, especially as who was here in the SleekBit demo that we had just a few minutes ago. So, I mean, those guys put to use what we talked about last year, and what kind of result did they get? That was a pretty fantastic app. We talked about Froyo highlights. All this stuff is very well documented, so I'm not going to go into it at great length. We talked about Rito Meyer's classic talk, Being Epic, and his 5 deadly sins and his 5 glorious virtues. If you haven't seen this talk, I strongly recommend that you dig up the slides for this talk and see them. You can see them from if you look for Google Developer Day 2010 and look at the agenda, you can find these slides. This is a great talk on designing effective user experience. Another thing we talked about last year was writing an app that will run on every device. And as you can see, we have sort of a distribution of devices. You can maximize your gain for minimum effort by writing to the middle of the curve. And then if you want to support greater and greater features, extend your support out to the right. Over here in the 3.0, 3.2, we think that things are going to get very exciting, especially as we introduce new versions of the operating system that support all of those APKs that 3.0 and 3.2 initially rolled out on greater and greater varieties of devices. For those of you who love your less fortunate users with the older and older devices, it's possible to still provide compatibility with some of the latest features all the way back to 1.6. And if you go if you go from 2.1 onwards to the right, you're catching something like 97% of all the possible users out there. Similarly, if you go 2.3 to the left, I think you get about 95%. So you can make your trade-off between supporting the greatest features and supporting the most possible users. Roman Nurek came and gave a very excellent talk about user experience, where he introduced the action bar pattern that Nick described so well just a moment ago. I'd like to thank my coworker Nick for doing most of my work for me, because most of the rest of my talk he already showed you. And we had some product releases. So I'll briefly skim over Gingerbread, since I think most of you already know it. Gingerbread gave us some performance benefits, particularly in the area of garbage collection, event dispatching, better native library. So now your native apps can get lifecycle events, just like your Dalvik interpreted apps. Other good stuff there. Added some more sensors. This is all in the SDK. Added some new forms of communication, like near-field communication, and over the past year, we've seen more and more stuff come out with that. There were incremental releases that added the ability, for example, to write tags and support more tag formats and things. VoIP, multimedia. And we had a few non-OS releases, like cloud-to-device messaging or the web version of the Android market. And just out of curiosity, how many of you here are using cloud-to-device messaging to notify your users? A few, okay. Well, this is an increasingly popular technology, and actually a surprising amount of my bandwidth as a developer or support engineer is in helping people work with cloud-to-device messaging. And with that, I would like to call up my first local guest to show you an application that uses C2DM.
Okay, so it's working? I don't know. Yeah. So thank you very much for the opportunity to introduce our app, which is not in the market now. My colleague will be introducing some demo of an app we invented just to solve our problem at work, because we are working in 3 different places, and always you need to go for a coffee, or sometimes you just want to organize some meeting, or you can go for lunch. And this is the problem which is solved by our app, and it's solved really quickly and simply. We created it with very we try to make it as simple as possible. That's the right thing. So as you can see, there are some groups we created just for this opportunity. I don't know if you see it well. The first one is Google Developer Day lunch. And my colleague just presses one button, and also in my phone is showing the notification that shows the people who are going for lunch. So after this talk, maybe I will press one button, and you directly see if the users are going or not. Yeah, that will be better, I think. So you see, I just pressed yes, but I have a speech, so I can maybe think it out and press no, and I think you will see the result. Yeah, after a few seconds, it updated. We created more types of groups. Show us some. Yeah, there is our lunch. Yeah, my colleague will create some group. No, he's joining a group. So this is our, yeah, this is password. It was visible, so. Yeah, he failed the pin, so he cannot go for lunch today. And make new group. Show us which type of groups we have. Yeah, so he creates a group. it doesn't exist, so automatically it pops up the window with create new group. He just selects whatever he likes. You don't like sport, don't tell me. He can make some beer. I think it's more popular here. So he creates a group. I can easily join the group. I won't do it now, I think, because we are lack of time. Yeah, and then he just can call it by one tap. Yeah, that's it. It's simple, and we all know we want to go for lunch or for a beer. So thank you very much. Yeah. One more thing to say, it's using cloud-to-device messaging, and its server side is done in App Engine by Google. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. So, since we're talking about server-side messaging, I would like to call up also my second guest. So, yeah, Vratislav and Martin, maybe you can come up here and tell us about, what you've been doing and how does it work. And so this is a help desk application, a nice little ticketing app. Maybe we can, if you can demo it for us, tell us. Let's see, we have your present. Oh.
Testing.
Did I kill your presentation? I did, didn't I? Let's see. Did you want to show your slides? I killed your slides. Right. So, I thought I was done with Safari. I was wrong. So.
Okay, so if everybody hear me, I would like first of all thank Sparky for invitation. It's a great opportunity to tell you something about what we do.
Let's see. Maybe you can find your slides for me.
Yeah, you'll just find some slides.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, this is a result of over preparation. We thought it down to the last detail, and then when I changed one little thing in my talk, I completely derailed them. So it's all my fault. Sorry. So who here is getting hungry? Yeah, we'll try to wrap this up quickly. How many of you here have at least a moderate amount of familiarity with programming the Honeycomb APIs? How many of you played around with Honeycomb APIs? Okay, and how many of you saw Nick's talk just a few minutes ago? All right, so for all of you, most of the rest of my talk after this demonstration will be kind of familiar because I'm recapping a bunch of the stuff that Nick talked about. But I will try to make it quick enough that you won't get too hungry. Maybe your tummy won't rumble too much. And for the rest of you who might be seeing it for the first time, I'll try to make it at least a little bit interesting. So, hey. Ooh, did I talk long enough? Drag it this way. Hey. Okay. And you can maximize with the. Yeah, drag. Oh, hey. Okay. Good. All right. So, Vratislav and Martin. Okay.
Okay. Hello once again. Today we would like to present you an application called Helpdesk. First of all, I will introduce ourselves. My name is Vratislav Zima, and I'm also here with my coworker, Martin Petrus. We are from Czech Technical University. Is there some more people from Czech Technical University here? Oh, wow. Great, that's nice. And before we start explaining all about the application, all about the helpdesk, let's look at the background, why this application was created. Need of information. I actually don't remember the slide, so I have to look at it. Oh, it's down here. Great, okay. Need of information. Today's society and the rising standards needs information at every point of their lives. It means that I am anywhere and I want to know what's this, how does it work, why is it here? And that's why we've created application, client application called Helpdesk. It should solve the problem. And how does it work? This actually, Helpdesk application works exactly the same as a typical call center. Do you know the call center, when you take a phone, you call, they tell you all the answers you want to know. It depends on the problem you are having. But there is one major difference. Do you know what is it? I don't think we can manage the nice girls like here. So that's the difference. No, actually, it's a little bit different. When you have typical call center, you are missing some information. When you are using our application, you can combine the usage of camera, location, and the message. Therefore, you can send the information to the operator more quickly, and he can answer you instantly. Typical example from everyday's life: when you are defusing a bomb. Have someone tried to defuse a bomb from this room? Okay, okay. I hope there will be nobody. So I think that it works like a little bit differently than you can see in a television. In a television, every time there is like a man with a phone, and he tells him, "Okay, now cut the blue wire." There is always blue, yellow, and red wire. Is that right? But I think that in the real world, you have like big variety of the bombs, and you can have different wires. You can have maybe 10 blue wires, 20 yellow, and such. And I think it can be different. So this is the problem, and this is a typical example when you can use our application. You just take your phone, you take a picture, and operator tells you back, this is a type bomb T1, blah, 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 and you should cut the first wire from the left. And that's the thing, when you will never get to know that when you are calling to the operator. You don't know what's the type of a bomb. So that's the usage. And yeah, okay. And now, how does it look? We will take a look at the application, at the first image. And when you run application and log in and verify it with your Google account, you will see the list of your tickets that are new, that are solved, and that are waiting to be solved. You have all variety. And if you want to do the new ticket, to ask what's the problem with the bomb and which wire to cut, you will press the plus button. This is not a plus button, but it doesn't matter. If you want to view detail of a ticket, you will press the ticket and see all the details, all the photos that are there, and all the states that the ticket has been through. And also in the action bar above, you can view the location where the ticket was managed. And it will display the Google map. I think this is basically what the application do. It is the most simple as it can be. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Do you have any questions? Okay, one question there. Sorry? It depends. Now it's made like that the application is built that the tickets can be managed by every user that has the application. But the point how to use this application is that there will be different projects in the different companies, and the user can just check the project which he wants to send the ticket to which company. Yeah? Was this your question, right? Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so thank you.
Are you done? Okay. So thank you to Vladislav and Martin showing us some of the work that's coming out of the Technical University. Back to here. So, all right. So the last part of my talk is about the Honeycomb APIs. Since I know you're hungry, and this is all documented, I'm going to go through it somewhat quickly. This was, as I said, it's recapping a lot of the stuff that Nick said. But since he said it better than I did, I would encourage you to maybe make a mental image of what you like from this, and then go back into the presentation slides before when they come online and see how Nick said it. So one of the important things that we wanted to talk about was the action bar. So a year ago, we talked about how to deploy an action bar on the telephone. And now this is part of the native Honeycomb API. And so the idea is that you should design your layouts that expect to have an action bar here. And in the older versions of the operating system, you try to implement a view that contains the action bar pattern, but when you're using Honeycomb and beyond, use the action bar APIs that are built into the system. And this is basically, it's an extension of the options menu that you already know about. And it'll use the same XML that you've always used to declare your options menu, plus a few extra new fields. Nick spent a lot of time talking about fragments because this is the great big new thing that we introduced for tablets. This was how you decompose what used to be separate activities that would occupy the full screen on the phone and put them together in a tablet with a much larger screen in a way that lets you reuse your code. So each of these fragments can either be a full screen activity or exist side by side with another one, and you can communicate between them, and fragments have some of their own life cycle properties. And so this is the sort of the way forward. It's a way of better encapsulating your functionality and making it flexible so that depending on which device is deploying your application, you can choose to fill the screen or to tile the screen with your fragments. So how to put a fragment in. So all you have to do is extend the fragment class, and then generally speaking, you will instantiate on create view, and you will inflate a view into your fragment. And the way you put a fragment into the activity in the first place is you put in a little piece of XML. In the place where you used to put your view, now you say, I want a fragment to go here. So let me know if I'm going too quickly. But since this stuff is already on the web and you can read it all online, I want to sort of get through it as fast as I can and let you have your lunch. So now what about those 95% of my users that don't have a Honeycomb tablet yet? Well, happily, we have this Android compatibility package that lets you deploy fragments on any Android device all the way back to Donut 1.6. So I would strongly encourage you, if you are developing your application, to be forward-looking, to anticipate the capabilities of future devices, including the one whose unboxing video we just saw a few minutes ago, Ice Cream Sandwich. Think about implementing even your traditional, your legacy pre-existing application using these compatibility fragments. And that way, you can get all the benefits of fragments and the future technologies and provide it, and at least provide the fragment benefit to everyone who's already using your application. The companion class to fragments is loaders. This is an affordance to make implementing list views more easier. So we have a kind of fragment called a list fragment, and if you have a content provider that's feeding the contents of your list, you can use a loader to automatically manage what gets displayed in the list. So the list fragment displays it, the content provider provides what's in it, and the loader makes sure that the right stuff gets into the fragment. So Nick talked about hardware acceleration. We at Google think that performance is a feature, and we built into Honeycomb for the first time GPU acceleration for 2D canvas drawing. Since not all canvas operations are supported yet, it is actually possible that your view could display more slowly if you use the hardware acceleration, if it's using some of these unsupported function calls. So we put in this XML property that lets you say, yes, this application should use hardware acceleration. We encourage you to put this in, see if it works, and in the places where it doesn't work, then take it out or set it to false. It doesn't have to be at the whole application. You can also do it at the activity or the view level. So the lesson there is, for basically a free speed boost, use this. Where it doesn't work, take it out. Mid-year, we had some updates to Honeycomb, like 3.1, which introduced property animation. You all know that we used to allow you to animate some view properties, like you could make things accelerate across the screen and bounce. This is more general. This will basically let you apply a time-varying feature to any numeric quantity that you can attach to your objects. So you could have like an acceleration on a color. I don't know why you would want to, but maybe you're a MySpace developer. So. And here's I just wanted to sort of show you a code example of some of the things that you can do with this new property animation. The other big new thing that we did just recently, and this was for 3.2, is we added a new category, or a new set of ways to describe how you divide up your layouts. In the past, we've always had these size buckets. We've got, small, medium, large, and extra large. And now we're finding that there's a bit of confusion, like, what is a large display? Sometimes a really small tablet could be a large instead of an extra large. Sometimes a really big phone could be a large instead of a normal size display or medium display. So we've taken a little more of a web designer approach, and we've said, you can display in virtual pixels what size screen this layout is designed for. Since you users can't scale their capabilities, you have to scale your screen around them. So you say, a screen so many virtual pixels wide translates to about this many real physical centimeters or inches. And for a screen at least this big, switch to this layout. And you can do this in several different stages. So you can have one layout for your 4-inch phone, another layout for your 7-inch tablet, another layout for your 10-inch tablet. But rather than doing just the diagonal measure, you can actually specify the width. So you might have one layout for, say, the landscape orientation of a big tablet, or the portrait orientation of a big tablet, or the landscape orientation of a small tablet might be about the same virtual pixels, and you can display about the same width column of text. So you can choose a layout based on the width of the screen that makes the visual elements comfortable for your users. Did that make sense? Okay. Right, so this is sort of the same thing over again. So this is sort of the rule that we used, approximately speaking, for the buckets, the generic one-size-fits-all buckets. And large is where we had a little bit of ambiguity. And here's what the new one looks like. So we basically, we say smallest width or height, and then you say how many device-independent pixels wide that layout should be. And then if the screen is at least that big, then it'll use that layout. And you can have multiple ones. So you can say, small, medium, big. Nick talked about RenderScript. I'm not going to say too much about it. It's going to be featured again in Richard's talk later this afternoon on high-performance graphics. But basically, this was a way to make very high-performance GPU-accelerated drawing available to your application simply, much more easily than writing OpenGL. So it's written in, we provide a form of C99, and you can just put it right in your application along with the Java code. And you just compile with one button, and off it goes. And it lets you use fancy graphical effects like the carousel views that you saw on the YouTube video wall, or the page-turning animation in Google Books with only just a few lines of code. There's one demo that we provide that desaturates the color in a photograph, and it's only just a few lines of code long. But I won't say too much about that because I don't want to cut into Rich's talk this afternoon. Another announcement that came along at Google I/O was with version 3.1 was host mode. So some hardware manufacturers have chosen to implement USB host mode so that you can control peripherals with your Android tablets. This is hardware specific. Not every USB controller chip can do host mode, so this is on a device-by-device basis. But we also introduced at Google I/O the Open Accessory API. And the interesting thing about this is that it doesn't require host mode. You can hook up one of these Open Accessory devices to your Nexus S phone or other phone running Android 2, 3, 4, or higher. And the device itself, in this case, it's an Arduino with a special shield that we had developed. That's the USB host, and your device, your phone is the connected device. And then there's a simple communications protocol that's implemented that lets the Arduino device and the Android phone or tablet talk to each other. And this is intended to be a fairly simple, fairly inexpensive, and friendly way to start building out into real-world interactions where you can control, measure, look at real things using your Android devices. How many of you saw the labyrinth maze, the big giant maze with the bowling balls from Google I/O? Right. So many of you. I have a photograph of it somewhere, but it's not in here, unfortunately. That was one of these. So one of these little Arduino boards was controlling that humongous 5-ton maze with the bowling balls rolling on it, and it was using an Android tablet as the control device. So it was reading the accelerometers in the tablet, and it was sending that tilt information down into the Arduino, and the Arduino was tipping the whole table. Wanted to talk a little bit about tablet-friendly design. This is, Nick talked about most of this already, so I'll skim through it quickly. We encourage you to not fixate on physical pixels, but use density-independent pixels, because not all devices have the same dot pitch. Basically, your user's eyes don't scale, but the screen that displays that information to them does scale. And so for that reason, you want to use these dimension-independent measures, density-independent, so that you actually get a sense of the real physical measure of the screen object instead of just how many pixels it is. So if you say, I want this to be 100 density-independent pixels, it'll always be about this big, irrespective of how many dots per inch the display is showing. Design flexible layouts. So things that can expand and stretch a bit, but as Nick was saying, you don't want them to stretch too much or you get a lot of empty space. So that's why you want to implement multiple layouts as well. Centralize your dimensions using dimension.xml. In other words, abstract out quantities like the standard size of a button so that you can change it in one place. Separate your application from your presentation, basic multi-tier application design. And another important thing about tablets is you should assume that most users will use the tablet in landscape. I mean, some applications work better in portrait, but most of the time landscape will be your default. So you should at least have a landscape layout, if not both a landscape and a portrait. Test it on Honeycomb, make sure it works with the holographic theme, the new look. Add some tags for the action bar. Consider adding higher resolution graphics, because we all know that graphics scaled up don't look too good. Graphics scaled down look okay. So you maybe consider having visual assets at multiple different densities. Yeah, make sure your layouts work. Make them flexible enough, because tablets can have slightly different dimensions. Like this tablet here, this is an LG Slate. The Motorola Zoom tablet that you probably know about is 1280 by 800. This is only 1280 by 768. So its aspect ratio is a little bit different. If you make a layout that's really finely tuned specifically for the zoom, it's going to get kind of squashed on this. So add a little bit of flexibility into your layouts. Use fragments. Use the compatibility library. And add this tag into your manifest that says, my application knows about Honeycomb. Just by adding this right here, you can convert your options menu from something that appears in the bottom of the screen to that neat little stacked icon that appears in the top left corner in the action bar. And then, oh yeah, and of course, so we've been talking for a couple of months now about Ice Cream Sandwich. The important thing about Ice Cream Sandwich is it builds on what Honeycomb started. So everything I told you about Honeycomb is still true of Ice Cream Sandwich. All of the Honeycomb APIs are supported. Ice Cream Sandwich takes all that stuff that we made for tablets and somehow finds a way to make those function calls work on the phone as well. And it's just generally an all-around better release. So everything that was good in Honeycomb is better in Ice Cream Sandwich. And there was that little link that I showed you before. So there might be something interesting happening sometime before too long, and you should probably go to this URL and acquaint yourself with what's happening and when, so that you can be the first kid on the block to wake up in the middle of the night and see the announcement. So. And, oh, thank you for your attention. Are there any questions?